You know that feeling when you build something you're super proud of, but then you find out your customers want something totally different? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. This is the story of a company that ran right into that problem and how their choice to actually listen helped them build a billion-dollar empire they never, ever planned on.
It's a pretty wild question, isn't it? I mean, imagine pouring all your blood, sweat, and tears into creating the perfect product, only to find out people are way more interested in the raw materials you use to make it. That's the exact dilemma that was at the very heart of Twilio's incredible journey.
So, to really get how Twilio stumbled into this empire, we've got to rewind. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, to their original vision, which was a big one, a plan to take on Skype. Let's paint a picture here. It's 2008. The iPhone is still pretty new, but it's already changing everything. And when it comes to internet calling, there's really only one name that matters: Skype. They dominated. And this is the world that Twilio's founders, Jeff Lawson and his team, decided to dive headfirst into. They had a really clear and, frankly, a super ambitious goal.
Their big idea was to build an app for regular consumers. Something simple, easy to use that could go toe-to-toe with the big guys. But here's the kicker, the really crucial detail. Under the hood, this app was powered by some seriously sophisticated tech, a set of powerful tools we call APIs that acted as the engine for all the complex calling and texting stuff.
All right, and here's where the story takes a massive plot twist. They launched the product, but that big wave of consumers they were expecting, it never really showed up. Instead, a totally different, completely unexpected group of people started knocking on their door with a really strange request. The feedback they were getting was just impossible to ignore. It really was like this. Imagine you're a chef, you've opened this amazing new restaurant, but all the customers just walk right past the dining room, head straight for the kitchen, and ask if they can buy a few jars of your secret sauce to take home. That's what was happening. So who were these customers with such a weird request? They were developers, coders, people who looked at Twilio's app and saw something more than just a tool. They saw the powerful engine running underneath it all. They had zero interest in using the app itself. They were just fascinated by what they could do with its building blocks in their own projects. And this comparison just lays it all out, plain and simple. You can see the huge disconnect, right? Twilio was pushing a finished meal, this consumer app, to compete with Skype. But the developers, they were saying, hey, forget the meal, just give us the raw ingredients. They wanted those API building blocks so they could cook up their own unique things. So Twilio found itself at this massive crossroads. Do you double down on your original dream, or do you chase this unexpected demand from a market you never even knew you had? This was the moment of truth. They had to decide, keep trying to sell the meal, or pivot to selling the building blocks. And what Jeff Lawson and his team did next was just incredibly bold. They decided to listen. They threw out their entire original plan to build a consumer app and went all in on a completely new mission: to become a cloud communications platform, selling those powerful building blocks directly to developers. And that right there is what we call a business pivot. And it's important to remember, this isn't about admitting you failed. No, it's a really courageous, strategic move. It's about recognizing that the market is pulling you in a direction that's way more promising than the one you first set out on. So what happened after they made this gutsy decision? Well, this pivot didn't just work. It led to absolutely spectacular success. It turned Twilio into a company that was way more important and influential than their little Skype competitor ever could have been. The impact of the shift was just immense. I mean, think about the apps you probably use every single day. That call from your Uber driver letting you know they're outside. That confirmation code you get from Airbnb. Yep, that's often Twilio working its magic, invisibly in the background. They became the essential, unseen backbone for thousands of the world's biggest apps. And the financial result? It was just mind-blowing. By choosing to sell the secret ingredients instead of the finished product, Twilio grew into an absolute giant, with a peak market valuation of over $50 billion. That's the kind of power you unlock when you stop just serving a market and start enabling an entire ecosystem. So, let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway from Twilio's incredible story? What can we all learn from this empire that was built, for all intents and purposes, almost entirely by accident? It really all boils down to one powerful lesson. Sometimes the most valuable thing you've created isn't the product you're trying to sell. It's the tools you built to make it. Real success can come from realizing you've accidentally stumbled upon something even better than your original plan, a platform that other people can build their dreams on too. And that kind of leaves us with one last thought. This isn't just a story about some tech company. It's a lesson for anyone who's building anything, really. So it makes you wonder, what secret ingredient in your own work might you be overlooking just because you're so focused on the finished meal you originally set out to create?